Sorry about the Zoom stuff. Hold on. Oh, you're on mute.
No worries, no worries.
Awesome. Okay, I am so excited to chat with you. Let me just turn this off. Thank you for doing this.
No worries. Like it was a pleasure to always share and see how my experience can help others. So
Oh, I'm excited. Let me just take a quick snapshot. And how long ago did you do this?
2019.
2019. Okay, so I loved what you sort of commented. Wait, am I recording? I'm recording. Okay. I love what you commented. You went a lot, you went around, and so um, where do you live in Florida still?
Yeah, in
Okay.
Claremont.
I'm in Windermere. I'm actually outside of my window. I can see the Magic Kingdom fireworks.
Okay, I used to live in Independence, and then we just got a house. We were able to buy a house, and then we went a little bit farther out in Claremont. But yeah, I'm very
Oh,
familiar with the
yeah.
area. Yeah.
Yes, I was just independent. That's cool. So I love, yeah, I think it's so valuable when other people can hear other people's experiences because sometimes they don't even know that's an option, you know? And like if one young person hears this and they realize like, "Whoa, I want to do that." Like it could spark motivation. So I love it. And everyone loves hearing about Disney restaurants. So
Mhm. Yeah.
um,
Everything I think Disney works to another standard in all the terms and the way they can prepare somebody, even if it's not in the kitchen, I think is you cannot compare that to anything else. Like the passion, the drive that they put on everything, and everybody is like there's a big difference.
oh, I love that. So let's start out with introduce yourself and then kind of say the summary of what you did, and then we'll dive deeper.
Okay, no worries. So I'm Veronica. I'm from Puerto Rico. I have been here, I think, almost 12, 13 years now. I moved to Florida to do the college program, like a lot of people. I started in the front of the house because that semester I was actually graduating from culinary school. So I didn't apply on time for the culinary program, but they had like different options during the fall for front of the house. And I was like, okay, I'll try to apply for a regular college program. I put my options front of the house and they actually called me in super fast. Like I did my interview, I remember, like at school, like at culinary school, and then like 2 days later, they were like, "Oh, you got it." So I knew that I was gonna somehow made it to the kitchen. I was like, I know, like this will be like an opportunity for me to jump into the kitchen. I was like, I don't know. I'm gonna offer myself. I'm gonna offer myself to do dishes. I'm gonna offer myself to whatever it takes. I know that's what I wanted. Like I was like, I went to culinary school, and that's where I want to actually cook. And I did that. I came and on my first location, I offered myself to help. I was like, hey, I know how to, I know how to cook. I just went to culinary school. I'm actually graduating over the summer. And they're like, yeah, you want to try it? Like we can put you on some stations and you can help the back of the house. So that's why I actually jumped into the kitchen. I did extended my program front of the house. So I went to Chef Mickey's and I was a sitter, but that was like a 3-month program. But I
Okay.
needed to do that in order for me to get an apartment, get a car, get like situated in Florida. Like I needed more time. And then I applied for a full time in the company.
Wow. So you mean in your college program, they actually let you go to the kitchen?
Yeah, I was helping. Like I was actually with my uniform from front of the house doing salads, I remember, or doing like the grab and go where you put like little snacks together. So they gave me the opportunity. I think I drove like the chefs at that point crazy. Like I was like, I want to do it. I can do it. I know I can do it. And they did help me a lot to get like an interview for my full time. They helped me. I'm pretty sure that they had like really good recommendations because Sandy was like, well, when they offered me the food, and they're like, they really want to keep you in your first location. Like they're requesting you to go back to Epcot. And I went back to Epcot to work as a cook too in the first location that I went as a college program. So I went back what I used to call home, like my first location, but this time I went as a cook too.
So where was your first location?
Sunshine Seasons.
Okay, so you were kind of building snacks and stuff, and then some they would let you do stuff in the kitchen,
Yeah.
and
They
then
used to let me
and
do like salads. They used to let me like scoop soups. Like it was really basic stuff, of course, because you know they can get in trouble if they had like from the but they gave me the opportunity to help. And anytime they needed help, like they had a calling or something, they were like, okay, Veronica can do it. She can go get change and she's gonna help.
whoa. I feel like that takes a lot of, I mean, especially for your part, but even where other chefs start out, like from observing, because I was a seater in my program, so I saw a lot of chefs, and I feel like there's a lot of humility in being a chef for like, there's a lot of time you have to do, but especially you just went to culinary school and then you're scooping soup. How did you have that inner, you know, like what made you say, like, oh, this is worth it to stick it out?
I don't know. I was thinking like, is this or I'm gonna go back to Puerto Rico and I'm gonna regret it. I knew I was gonna regret not taking the chance or not taking the risk. So I was very verbal of what I wanted. They knew that I wanted to be a cook at Disney because I didn't have the opportunity to apply for the culinary program. So I think that's what helped me, like being very verbal that, okay, I really want to be a cook, but I'm a front of the house, you know, and I was very clear that that was temporary. Like I was like, this is what I did to get here. And this is temporary. And when I had the opportunity to extend my program, you know, they really don't give you a lot of options. They're like, oh, you can extend the program and it's, you know, we will send you to a new location in your same role. So that's why I was like, okay, do I do this for 3 more months? I have enough time in 3 months to save for a car and to save for an apartment. And I think that's what actually helped me. Like the motivation that I had that it was temporary.
Oh, you knew there was a light at the end of the tunnel. And from there you were allowed to apply for a chef position.
So from there, I applied for a cook two position.
Okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
what's the difference of all the titles? Explain to everyone who doesn't know sushi.
Well, so Disney have like their own chaining command. So you need to start in the bottom unless you have like previous experience. So a cook one is somebody that comes with some experience. It can be like 1 year, 2 year, but they have some experience already working in a restaurant. A cook two is somebody with no experience or with a culinary background like school, you know, like an internship. So I started from the bottom. I went straight to a cook two position. I got promoted in less than a year to a cook one position. And then I went from cook one to chef assistant, but we can talk a little bit more later because that's more into the program, into the development program. And I left Disney as a signature chef assistant.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, I knew there was some sort of tier system, but I have seen, and I've also got to see some of the chefs, be promoted or move up, and it seems to be a big deal. Like, oh, and I loved it because my first location was the Flying Fish.
Ooh, I love the flying fish.
So it's a little different because it's an open kitchen. So I probably knew the chefs more than other people knew their
And
chefs.
other people. Yeah, yeah. And I did work in an open kitchen, and one of my favorite experience is being in an open kitchen because you see people enjoying the food, you see what is happening, you see what they're ordering, you see how busy is the restaurant. But it also takes a lot of courage too because you're like, okay, we're in our first sitting, we're about to get slammed, everybody gets ready. You can see everything that is happening besides being on a room where you don't see what is happening outside and you're just getting tickets.
It's like a show every night. It's like his performance. Wow, true. Okay, so Yeah, tell us about like the next step you did after that.
So I was a cook two and a cook one at Sunshine Seasons. That's the place that I will always call like home because that's where I started as a college program. I was there for I think almost 2 years in total between cook two and cook one. And in my time there, I was able to do food and wine. Food and wine, they pull people from all that was before. Food and wine used to pull people from all Disney, all property, and they put like chef assistants, cook one, cook twos to work the festival. Now they have their own team. Like Food and Wine have grown so much during the years that now they have their own culinary team. But at that point, they will pick people. So the first year they took me to cover like overtime, and then the second year is when they took me to work production kitchen. I did at that point it was like the Dominican Republic kiosk. So I was cooking everything that was going out to that kiosk. I was doing the yuca souffle. I was doing, I think there was like a mashed potato. This is like 10 years ago,
Oh,
6 years ago. So there were three dishes and they were coming from my hands, which was really cool because that was the closest thing that I was going to get from Puerto Rico because there was not a Puerto Rico kiosk, but there was Dominican Republic. So I felt like I was like, that was like one of the most pretty things that happened to me at Disney, like being able to help with that and then had people from all around property always tell me like, oh, I went to try your yuca souffle, I went to try this that you owe me, and I was like, that was special. So that was really cool. I did food and wine, and then they asked me when I came back from food and wine if I was ready for table service, because that was quick service, and they were like, are you ready for table service? And I was like, I don't know. Like I was comfortable, I was doing my 8-hour shifts, I was having fun. And they were like, okay, you're not gonna go that far. We have a position at Coral Reef. Do you wanna go to Coral Reef or you wanna stay here? You might be able to grow more, learn more. So I think it took me a while to like, yeah, I do it. But like 2 months later, I made the decision, went to Coral Reef. And at Coral Reef, I was for almost a year, and an opportunity came to go to Canada. And that was my first signature
okay.
restaurant. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So
Now
I
were
was
all of these as like cook too?
so that was cook one because between my time at Sunshine Season, I was being promoted. So I went to Coral Reef as a cook one. And in Coral Reef, I don't know why, they always had me on grill. They started me on a station that is called ovens. So you're basically cooking everything, every side, and some of the main dishes. But they had me there for like 3, 4 months, and they were like, no, you're going to the grill. So I was a grill cook for a lot, and I was mostly in the grill 3 to 4 nights. And I think that's from where my chef was like, oh, let's take her to a steakhouse now. Like that might be good for her because I was basically the night grill person at Coral Reef.
Is that like a more like is one more challenging or more advanced?
Yeah, so Epcot only have one signature restaurant, and that is gonna be Les Cellier Steakhouse.
Hmm.
So you need to have like some skills to go there. So they would not at that point because things have changed at Disney, but at that point you couldn't put a transfer just to go to Les Cellier. You needed to have like a skills, and you needed to go through an interview, and then they will take you, or they will, assess you. There were people doing shadows for a couple of days, and then the chefs will say like, yes, no, yes, you can make it, you're not gonna make it. So I did my shadow, and of course they threw me in the grill. They knew what they were doing. I did grill, and I agreed to go to Les Cellier Steakhouse. And Les Cellier was one of the hardest locations that I worked at Disney.
Oh, I
It was
bet.
one of the hardest ones. It was super busy. I was working with people that were doing the job that I got moved to do for 10, 15 years. Like they were grill chefs, grill cooks, and I was just doing it for a year. I did it at Coral Reef, and then from Coral Reef, I went to Canada. So it was intimidating. And then I was a woman. I weighed less than 100 pounds. I'm 5'1", so you can imagine that grill was bigger than me.
Wow. So it- were they um I know just going there would be this feeling of pressure. And did you feel that in the kitchen, or were they like, I mean, I don't want us to talk bad about anything, but
No,
were
no, no. Yeah, there was a lot of pressure. Believe me, there were people there that they wanted to be chef assistant, that they were working for the next step, and they just bring somebody new to the kitchen and they throw that person into the grill. The grill is the heart of the restaurant. Like most restaurants, like a steakhouse, that's where 90% of the food is coming out. So it was very challenging physically, super rough for me. I was basically sweating like
oh,
my entire weight every night. I was taking apart. Uh, Give me a moment. Somebody's at my door.
no worries.
I'll be right back. I'm sorry. My husband sent me food. He's working late tonight.
Oh, cute. No
Yeah.
worries.
Yeah. So
Uh,
yeah.
I was gonna asking, is the grill always like in the restaurant? Is the grill station like the hardest one?
It depends. On a steakhouse, I think it is just because the high volume of orders that are coming just from that station. It's a hot station, so you're basically like, even if the kitchen is already hot, you can imagine being in front of like an oven like 8 hours. So it's the same. A lot of these grills are firewood, so you're in front of fire basically. So Canada had that. It was like a big grill that you will have to throw and keep it really, really hot.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow. Wow. So you were they did you have to how much training do you have when you're at a new location? Do you have any training?
So yeah, so when they used to bring new people, you will get like a week of training, 2 to 3 days with somebody that work on that station, and then the next day you're basically with a trainer, but you're mostly solo to see how you do, and then if you need help, that person will come to help you. The grill was the grill was different for me. It was a station that was cooking 200 steaks on a busy night. That was like, that printer never stopped for at least the grill station. There were other stations that they were really busy, but somebody that comes to a steakhouse, you know what they're getting, right? They're ordering a steak. At least somebody in the table is getting a steak for sure. So if they're seating 500 people on a night, you can imagine how many steaks. So it took me a while. I'm not gonna say that that was a station that I mastered it. No. I was always very honest. It took me a while to get the hang of having like a perfect night. But I think being able to just work there was already like over the moon and over the top. Like, who doesn't want to work in one of the busiest and one of the best restaurants on property? So I was already like, I cannot believe that I'm here. I did learn from a lot of people, some of the best chefs, and they have my respect because even that I'm not in the company, I always keep my communication. And just to see what the restaurant was bringing to the company was like shock, like their numbers, their revenue, their covers, the amount of covers that we were doing in one night in 4 or 5 hours was always like what is this? Like,
Wow, yeah, that is because that restaurant's really hard to get a reservation at. It's
mhm,
always booked in advance, always full.
always fun.
I guess, like you said, so it had some amazing head chefs, right? So when you go to when you go to any new restaurant, do they, um, like, well, I guess if it's not like a recipe, yeah, or like the seasoning, like, are you doing all of that? Is there, like
Is there a
narrative?
metrics? Is that where you're going? Is there like a
Well,
matrix, something unique?
well, no, I'm saying like for like the recipe of that restaurant, like if like the grits at Coral Reef, like and you just besides them saying here's the recipe, do it. Like what other did they say this is the technique we use here for this?
Oh yeah, I think and when you get to signature, it's all about techniques. And that's something that at least for me, I was always willing to learn. Like I was always a student. And I didn't have maybe when I started in the company, I didn't have the knife skills. I didn't have a lot of the cooking skills because at school you're cooking with a group of people. You're not really like there chopping onions every single day until you can cut an onion with your closed eyes. That happens with practice. And I think that being able to go to all these places, like from sunshine seasons where it was a quick service and all the vegetables were in a bag, then going to Coral Reef where they don't buy their vegetables cut. I needed to cut them every single day, and then going to Les Cellier where it's not about cutting the vegetables, it's about how perfect are the vegetables cut, because that's what
Oh,
that makes the difference between one restaurant and the other one. So yeah, Coral Reef, amazing food, amazing, flavors. They have their own style. They have like they have been known for the same dishes for years, but then you go to Canada where you need to refine everything that you had learned. Now they're looking at your cuts. Now they're looking at your cooking skill. Now they're looking at your creativity, like what you can bring to the team. And that's where it started getting more and more challenging, because before the onion didn't need to be perfect. It was just chopping an onion because I was throwing that into a dish. No, here they're looking at the details.
oh wow. Oh my gosh. Well, when you've had all this experience, what's your personal favorite part? Like you said, like the cutting, the cooking technique, the presentation, and also, does a chef when you're doing the same thing every night, like, do you get bored? Like, do some people get bored and do some people like doing the same thing?
I'm gonna say there's a little bit of everything. Of course, you always want to be on your comfort zone, right? Like where you feel comfortable. So I was that person. I was like, I'd rather be comfortable. At the same time, there were times where I was bored. I was tired of doing the same station all over again. And that's where sometimes I would trade stations with people. I'll be like, oh, you want to do grill? I do ovens. You want to do pantry? And I do. So we used to have those nights where we would switch around just to do something different. But in the kitchen, they need to have aces on their places. So when we have a busy night, you need to have the best grill cook. You need to have the best person on the pantry. Because you cannot risk it. You cannot risk having people that are not good at that station on one of your best nights where you have to seat 700 people and you have 4 VIP tables. Like,
Okay.
yeah. So the chefs would not risk, like business for I just want to be comfortable. I don't feel, like I just want to have it slow. I just want to have it eat. No, no, no. It's like aces on their places. I think that's like very important in their kitchen.
That makes sense. And okay, so how many Disney restaurants total were you at?
Ooh, so I did Les Cellier Steakhouse, and when I was in Les Cellier Steakhouse, this opportunity for the Disney Development Program came to me. I had a friend that did that program, and I was always like, oh my God, look how he went to all these restaurants and he worked around property. And woo, that would be really cool if I get the opportunity to be in something like that. Like I had worked in Epcot in different restaurants. I think I had this in my head. I think I'm ready to leave Epcot, but I'm not ready yet. Like I'm ready, but I'm not ready. I'm ready. And in one of my tries to go to Food and Wine, because that was like my 2 month, 3 month vacation from Les Elier, I was like, okay, maybe I do Food and Wine. My chef was like, no, you're not going to Food and Wine. And I was like, why? I was very upset. I was like, I want to do Food and Wine. And they're like, no, you have other things to work on. You had only been on Signature for, I think it was like a year and a half. And there's other things that you need to, learn and refine. And if you want to be a sous chef one day, you need to do other things too. Not just go back and do Food and Wine because you like it and because you have done it before. No. So I was like, okay, so I'm not doing Food and Wine. I'm stuck in Les Elier. What I can do to do something different? And then they posted. I saw a post about this program, and I was like, this is my opportunity. This is my opportunity to do something different. I remember I applied, and I didn't hear back until a couple weeks later when they reached out to schedule an interview. And I was like, okay, not bad. And the first thing that I knew, it was they were only selecting 12 people. And I was like, okay, 12 people, and a lot of people apply because at this point, a lot of people know about the program and they were posting on their socials, they were talking about, there were papers in like the break room. So I was like, okay, this is gonna be rough. So don't get your hopes, Veronica. Don't get your hopes because I don't want to have my feelings hurt. I remember I told my chefs, hey, I got an interview for a program. And the first thing that they told me is, you need to leave that day early because we don't want you to be late for your interview. And you need to go to costuming. You want to get a new pair of chef coats, new pants. They were like, dress to impress. I'm never gonna forget that my chef was like, dress to impress. Like walk into that interview like you already have the internship. And they were really supportive. They were like, they were my cheerleaders. They were like, you got this, you're gonna do great, like just be yourself. And they were like, don't stress about it. And I was studying and I was like, I need to know everything that they might ask you. And they were like, don't stress, you're gonna do fine. Like you have been doing this for years. Just be yourself and you will see something. They will get back to you. If not, they're gonna keep doing this program. Like,
Wait, is this just for chefs?
this was only for cook ones. So they were being very specific about the requirements. You needed to be a cook one and you needed to have some background. They were looking for, your experience. They asked you to take a resume. So I had my paper. I remember I walk in with some pictures of stuff that I have worked in the different places. And they basically gave me a skill test in that interview. I walk into that room and I was thinking that I was only gonna walk into the recruiter because she was the one that had the entire like back and forward conversation about the interviews with me. But when I walk in, there were 4 executive chefs there. Not one, not two,
Oh,
4. And I did recognize 2 of them. And I was like, okay,
is it a
let's do
kitchen?
this.
Was the interview in the kitchen?
It was in casting. So
Oh,
they had like a room in casting, like a little conference room. So I walk in and they were like, oh, get comfortable. So they sat me like in the desk and everything. And I had these people like staring at me and they just were asking questions like temperature wise, sanitation, skills, my experience. They started throwing me like, if you have these ingredients, what would you do? We're on the fall, there's only fall vegetables. What would you do? What will be your soup? What will be your main dish? If you have a vegetarian person, what would you feed them? And it was like an hour interview because I remember I went there straight home. I didn't have time to go back to work my shift of how long that interview was. And they were like, okay, thank you very much. We will get back to you. Good luck. Da, da, da. And then after me, there were more people. So I walked by more people in line to get interviewed. And then she told me that was the last day of interviews. So they have been doing interviews for like a week already. And I did choose the last day for the afternoon. So I'm like, okay. I was like, what are the chances? There were a lot of people there. And then the next day was Valentine's Day, and I was actually celebrating Valentine's with my now husband, and they called me in and they told me that I was the first person to be selected.
Wait, they came into they called you, you said?
They called me the next day, and they told me I was the first person to be selected, and I was like, I was like, I cannot believe it, and they're like, no, you did so good. They all love you, like they all were very impressed by your personality, your passion, and they want you in this program, so you're the first one to get selected. So I remember that was like at 8 p.m. It was at night. We were in that restaurant. I was like shocked. I text my chefs there. Like I remember I was
Oh.
like, I need to tell you guys before anybody, I got the internship. I'll be leaving Les Cellier in the next couple weeks. And I was shocked. I was shocked. And I think I went there, and when I was there, I forgot all this stress that I had it, and I was just myself. Like I was having a conversation with them. They were throwing me questions, and there were things that I didn't knew. And I was honest, I don't have the answer, but I'll be able to, learn it. And I think that's what they actually like. That I was like, I don't know that, but I will learn it. Like if you show me, I'll learn it.
Wow. So you overall did feel confident.
I think my mindset of like completely changed when I walk into that room. And that that experience in general, like that interview, I was like, if I did that, I can do anything after that. Like if I did that, if I had the pressure of having like all those executive chefs, some of them that I knew who they were, and I already knew all the things that they had done in the company, like the restaurants that they work, I was like, I can do anything now. Like I was confident, and I think that made me even more confident for my program.
That's such a good lesson because it sounds like it wasn't like the feel good feeling that you had, like kind of like being proud, or it's like when a little kid first rides a bike, like when they feel accomplished, like you felt good regardless of if you got the position. Like it sounds like because you walked away from that room and because you faced something really scary, right?
Yeah, it was really scary, and it had been the most stressful job interview that I had ever been in my life. And I think it was totally worth it. And what really set me up for success was forgetting about everything and just being 100% myself there. Like in that room, like I was like, I remember we were laughing because they asked me about an ingredient, and I was like, I cannot pronounce that. I speak Spanish, okay? But I know what you mean. And he started, and I described it to him, and they were laughing. Like they were laughing. So I was 100% myself. I was like, I cannot pronounce that, but I can tell you what it is. And they were all laughing. And I even told them that I started as a front of the house because that was one of the first questions, like why you came here, and where what was your first kitchen job? Because they wanted them, they were looking for that. They were looking for my experience to see if I was actually ready to go and work in this program. And I told them, well, I started in front of the house because that was my escape from Puerto Rico to make it into Disney. And I knew that somehow I was gonna get into the kitchen.
Oh man. Well, I see why they picked you. I mean, like it takes more than skill. They're looking for someone who has, especially chefs, like those hours are insane sometimes, and so they saw that you loved it and were willing to learn. And then okay, so you got in and you probably were like crying and screaming
Oh,
and
I
like
was crying, I was screaming. I was like, oh my God, that was my first time leaving Epcot and working on a kitchen where I didn't knew anybody. like from zero. Like I didn't knew the chefs, I didn't knew the managers, I didn't. So that was like, oh my God, how do I
Yep.
do this? Yes, randomly in a lot of these restaurants, I bump with people that somehow I have met through my years in Disney, but that was my first time like leaving everything that I was comfortable with. Because at that point, I was comfortable working at Epcot. I was comfortable with my chefs. I was comfortable with the kitchen, with the my peers. So this time was the first time where I was like, I need to leave all that behind. And then I'm like, oh my God, do I'm gonna like it? Are they gonna like me? Do I'm gonna be able to do this job? And that's where you always like second guess yourself. But I was like, no, if I did that interview, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And I was actually the only woman in that internship too. So that's how crazy it is. I was the only woman. They were all guys, and they were all coming from everywhere in the restaurant. We were only two people from Epcot. So there was one guy that came from Coral Reef and myself, and then everybody else came from um Tiffin's, the
Ooh.
boardwalk. There were people from everywhere in the property.
So the question now is, so like that's like the biggest congratulations, like that you did it. And then the question for me and listeners is, what exactly is this, this program, this development, what's different about it than just being status as full time?
That's a
What
good question. That's a good question because if I can recommend to somebody to go through these experiences, do it. It's a program that takes you not just to one restaurant, takes you around property. So at that point, we were doing a rotation of 3 restaurants. And in those 3 months, you were gonna work with the saucier, the butcher, and all the chef assistants and chef. So you were basically scheduled to work hand to hand with the people that runs the restaurant. You start by shadowing like the main stations of the restaurant, understanding their menu. In some of these restaurants, you will have to come up with recipes. I did one of my dishes was for citricos, and I did like a summer soup. So I did a soup made of peas, and the soup was in the menu after I left citricos. So that was like the biggest thing that I think that I walked out from that restaurant was knowing that one of the recipes that I did for one of the chefs, they love it so much that they were like, oh, we need you to write down this recipe because this is all going on the menu. And
that's huge.
that was huge. That was like,
That's
and I was
goosebumps.
shocked. I
That's
did
like a
that
Grand
soup.
Floridian.
Yeah, I did that soup, and I was not confident that that soup was gonna be like a hit, because I was like, who wants to eat a green soup? Who wants to order a green soup? But they were like, it's so refreshing. It's summer, and they were like, nope, this soup is going in the menu. So before you leave, they were like, we need all the recipes, write them down. We're gonna keep them, and that was like one of my favorite parts, that we were part of the restaurant. Like in those 3 months, like we were learning, because that was the idea of the program, that you were gonna learn butcher, saucier, but they always use you as an influence in the restaurant. So at Citricos, I work with the saucier, I work with the butcher. I did work, and he's a French chef. He's now in another restaurant, but um, like working with him was like so different from what I was used, because of course he have other skills, discipline. He was more strict than any other chef that I have worked. So I did learn a lot from him. When I was in that hotel, I got offered a job in Victorian Arbors. And I think that's where my now husband was at. Veronica, you have been in this program for 1 month, and you have your first job offer. He said, you're not taking it. You know what we're going to do? We're going to wait for the end of the program, because I know that you're going to walk from that program with multiple offers. So I was like, I was being the strong girl, right? I was like, I cannot take the first offer. Like, I
Oh, so
cannot do that.
they were offering you like to have you leave the program.
They were offering me to finish my program and transfer to
Oh,
that location. Yes. So it was early. That was the first resort. So that was my first stop. And my now husband is like, no, 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 we're gonna wait. We're gonna wait and see how many more opportunities come. And that's where I went to California Grill. I
hmm.
love it there.
That's
I
like one
love
of the most like the
mhm.
ones I hear guests talk about all the time.
Yeah, I love it. I was working at 3:30 in the morning.
Hmm.
That was like the hardest part, but
Are
that
they
made,
open for
that
breakfast?
made me stronger than what I thought because every morning I ask myself, do I really want to do this? Do I really have to go? Because it was tough. It was tough. I was waking up at 2, getting ready, driving, and my punches, my clocking was at 3:30. So I was in the location by 3, basically in the parking by 3, walking and getting ready. That was tough. Like that was a
Why?
moment where
Why so early?
huh?
Why was it so early?
So the restaurant at that point was in the transition of the brunch. I don't know if you remember, but there was a point where they had like brunch. And when they started doing that brunch, the morning crew did really like being there really, really early in the morning. Why? Because the kitchen is empty, you have all the equipment, like, you get to choose the ingredients, you get to go to the coolers downstairs before everybody else in the resort is there. So the saucier, the person that they had me work with, that was his start time, 3:30. We were done by 10 a.m. I was in the house before 11 a.m. I was living really close to, I was like 5, 9 minutes out, but it was super, super hard. Like, I think that was a mental challenge that I had every morning. It was like, I can do this. I can do this. Like, it was rough, but one
Wow.
of my favorite kitchens, the people, the food, everything that I learned. Um, that's where I really learned that you need, like, it doesn't matter, like myself, like it doesn't matter that you weigh 100 pounds. There's always a way to do stuff. I was working with equipment that was bigger than me. Like, I remember one of the blenders that I used to grab was like my size, and we were always looking for ways, how can I do the job, how even, and they had like a stool for me. They had always like a system where I would work in smaller batches instead of working with like 50 pounds. I was working. So they were like, you can do the job. It's just like we need to find a way that is better for you, because you lifting 90 pounds is not fair either. Like they were like, so they were always like looking for a way on how I could do the job, you know. So that was really cool. And then
Oh,
from there,
sorry, just like random. If they were there so early, uh, was there things they actually had to start? Like, was there like bread, like rolls or something? Is that
soup,
start?
soups, stocks, sauces,
Um,
fish. Fish was being butchered every day. So yeah, there were a lot of things. Like, to be honest, being that early doesn't mean that, oh, the job is so easy, you're done at 9, 10 a.m. People see it that way. No, no, no. You have one of the toughest restaurants because you basically have to prep everything that the rest of the crew is going to need. So you're working with time frames. You need to make sure that the sauce that they're gonna need for the lunch time is ready before the lunch crew walks into the kitchen. So you're always working with time frames and how you want to be out of the equipment for the rest of the crew. It's like, okay, I need to start my soups now because by 11, the lunch crew is going to be here and they're going to need this stuff. So that means that I need to be done and I have 3 hours to get this recipe, at least halfway through. So it was like, I admire everybody that works in that restaurant because of their volume too. So in other restaurants, we were making the same stuff, but there we were making it almost every day. So they were making stocks almost every day. They were making their sauces almost every day. And in other restaurants, you can make stock one time a week, and that will last the whole week. But in this restaurant, they're so busy, they're so popular that the volume of the food will go way faster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And you were at Cali Grill for like a month too?
1 month. So I did 1 month there, and then I went to Artist Point.
So is this program basically all the fancy ones I was taking you to?
Yeah, so that's why when you went through the interview process, they were asking you a lot of knowledge. They were asking you a lot of like creativity, because you're not gonna go to Magic Kingdom. No, you're going to Signature Dining, and you're working with some of the best saucier, butcher, and chefs from all property. So they were looking for people that they were willing to learn. I think, they were looking for people that were hungry to learn, and of course that they had some kind of experience, because believe me, there was no way that you could have walked into that kitchen with no knife skills, or with no, because there were days. And this is in Artist Point. I did really like Artist Point, because in Artist Point, they did let me use my creativity every single day. They will give me like paperwork, and they're like, okay, today we need a soup for 20 people. Make something. Today we need some appetizers. Make something. So I will help in the kitchen, because I was always like, okay, how can I help everybody? What do you need me to do for you today? But they let me play with all their food. Like, I could walk into the cooler and grab anything that I wanted. And that was super cool. That was a highlight, because there I was able to try my creativity. Like, I was like, okay, today I want to make a soup, a vegetarian soup, like completely vegetarian. Let me use these veggies that have been in the cooler for a couple of days. Let me incorporate that. So that was where I was able to really, really, really like be more creative than shadowing and learning from somebody.
That sounds like a chef's dream,
I
right?
know that's what everybody wants. You want to walk into a fridge and find all the ingredients that you can imagine. So that was really cool, and I'm really happy that that was my last stop, because I was able to incorporate things that I have learned in the other restaurants too. So that
Mm.
was my last stop, where I was able to be more creative. I had a lot of knowledge at that point from like the things that I learned the last 2 months, like how to make a stock, how to reduce that stock and make it a sauce now, how to butcher a fish, how to fillet. So, I was able to now practice everything that I have learned, because these people are letting me use their fridge, use their ingredients, and the stuff that the intern was doing was for the club level. So my soup and my dishes were being taken to club level and served to those guests.
Club level, what do you mean?
Club level is when somebody stay at Disney on a really expensive room, so they get like this private club level area, and
Oh,
they can go there. I think it's for like 5 to 6:30, so like happy hour time frames. And then they will open like a little salad bar, buffet bar, and there's usually like a soup and some small appetizers. So the stuff that I was prepping was being taken to that room, and it was really slow. They usually had like 10, 15 on a busy day, like 30 guests. So you were basically prepping like 4 or 5 bags of soup, like nothing, or even less. Sometimes if I had like a big batch, they would split it. They would take like one bag and one backup, and they would save the other soups for another day in the week.
okay. So it wasn't for a menu, it was for like this buffet. That's why you
These
could
people that are spending a lot of money, and they get like club level experience. So they get like that little room with food. And
That's so cool.
so
Thanks.
that was really cool that they were very open to, have me play. And that's what I call it. I was playing with food. I was playing with food. At the end of the program, you are asked to do a 3 courses tasting. So you will get back with everybody. You will see all the we were 12, so you will see everybody that got into the program, and we have one day to prep. So we all go back to California Grill, and we get assigned different food ingredients, and a chicken. I don't remember any other proteins. I remember the chicken, and you have basically 12 hours to get something ready. Your 8-hour shift for that day. And then the next day, we were there really early in the morning. I think it was like 5, 6 a.m. And we have, I think it was like 4 or 5 hours to cook. And they invited all the Disney executives that you can imagine to go there and taste our food. So there were chefs from all over property. They were like some of the chefs that we were working with, they were all there. And they were all trying all our dishes, giving us feedback. And that was like graduation, like you made it through your 3 months. Now you're putting in practice everything that you have learned. These people are going to give you feedback. You're going to listen what you need to work on, what they really like. And I was so scared. I was so scared. I did practice at home, like the soup that I was gonna make. I had an idea of, we knew that chicken needed to be our main protein. So I kind of like knew, what I wanted to do with the chicken. But let me tell you that when you're in that rush, in that pressure, in those nerves, nothing goes like you plan it on your head. Nothing goes the way that you were thinking that your dish was gonna be.
Did it feel like you were on a cooking show?
It felt like we were on a cooking show. We were like rushing it around that kitchen. We were like all of us in a kitchen, like dun, 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 and helping each other. Like we did help each other. But yeah, we all did really good. Like everybody really put in a plate a lot of skills that they learned through the program, a lot of passion. If I look back, I didn't even recognize myself that day because I was like, this is another Veronica. Like I was shocked with all the things that I was able to deliver and accomplish in that dish too. Even that it was not perfect, it was not what I planned on my head. Looking back at everything that day, I was like, wow, like I didn't recognize myself. And I was like, and that's what you do when you work under pressure. Like, you build yourself. And I look at the picture sometimes and I'm like, oh my God, like, like it went so fast. It was like 3 months, three of the restaurants that I already like love, because I'm a big Disney foodie. Disney. So I when I found out the restaurant that I was going, I was like I'm gonna be in the Grand Floridian, I'm gonna be in California Grill, I'm gonna be in Artist Point. Like I was like, wow. So taking advantage of, like, in every restaurant I took something from them and from the people that mentor me, and I tried to put it on that dish. And that was hard too because I had like my favorites. I was like, oh, from California Grill, I really like this, but from Artist Point, I learned this. But from Citricus, I didn't learn this part. So putting everything together was hard. Like, how do you incorporate a little bit of three restaurants that are completely different? But that's what they wanted to see. That's what they were looking for. They were looking to see, what did you took
Like your
and
skills, like the technique from each place.
techniques, skills, flavors. They were looking for everything, everything.
You proud of what you made at the last?
I was really proud. I made like a polenta.
Oh, I
Um,
like that.
polenta. I made like a chicken. I had like roasted vegetables. My soup was like a statement soup that I did master during my program, because from my first location I did learn how to make a potato-based soup, but from my second location I did learn how to mix acidics into soups, and I love that combination. So I was like, okay, let me try to incorporate that into the soup. that I learned how to make base with chicken stock and potato. And I think during the program, I kept playing and I kept playing with the soup and I kept playing to the point that I was like, I think that's what I need to do. Like I was so obsessed with that soup that I was like, somehow that's where I need to.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's
And
like,
that was my soup.
and they just was the only requirement, like just to.
Your requirement was to be creative, like just put your skills into those three dishes, um, and to take criticism. Like they were be open to good criticism, bad criticism, because all these people, they're trying to make you all better. And it was very intimidating. Like, you see all these people that you have heard about it, that you have seen, like all these executives. But it was really good, to be honest. They were all super nice to us. Like, I thought it was going to be rougher, like, Chop or any of the Food Network shows that we watched, and that they were going to make me cry there. But no, they were really nice. They were nice people. Their feedback was really good. Um, I think I like looking back, I like at the memories and everything. Everybody did really good in that tasting. Everybody left really happy, and there was a lot of good opportunities that came from there.
Wow, wow. I mean, I feel like I could talk to you for 2 more hours because there's so much direction we could go, but we're already almost out of time. So I will say, like, I heard a lot of takeaways of just first of all, like the mindset you had in general, and you really from the beginning you landed in Disney and you just opened your mouth. So if anyone's listening, that's like a huge takeaway. She said, I let people know what I wanted to do. That's like the biggest thing. And then she showed up and you worked hard and you accepted opportunities, you applied, and that's super key. And then you didn't even know it was possible when you left Puerto Rico. You didn't know this was a thing. And so sometimes in life, you just follow your next excitement and then you'll be exposed to a new opportunity.
And I think that's key. And I was looking today because I was trying to find like the exact year of this program. And that's exactly what I posted when I announced people that I was going into this program. It's like one door closed, another one opens. And I think that's the magic about Disney too. Is that there's so much opportunity out there. And sometimes people don't look for them. Like we keep waiting and waiting and waiting for something to happen. And sometimes we need to take the risk. Like I look back, I was like, if I didn't took the risk of wanting to do something different, I would still be at Epcot, probably in the same restaurant, doing the same thing that I was always doing. So I think that's an advice that I can do to anybody that feels stuck or that want to do bigger and bigger things. It's like, don't be scared to take that chance, or don't be scared of opportunities.
Yes, and leaving your comfort zone. If it sounds scary, that doesn't mean it's wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's me, because I was always scared. I was like, but I don't know anybody, but I don't know that, like this is gonna be all new for me. It's like it's worth it. It's totally worth it. At the end, you're gonna look back and you're gonna be like, who I am. Like then that's what happened to me. Like I look back at that day and I look back at the pictures and the memories that I have, and I was like, who is her? Like because like it built me up to stronger. My mindset changed. Like I walked from there with so many opportunities. Um, it was 3 job offers. 2 of them were promotions.
Amazing. Wow, wow. Yeah, this is very inspiring. And I hope that after that program was over, did you have a break to celebrate or did you go straight into a
Oh,
job?
I went back to Les Cellier for a couple weeks. Of course, oh, I took a week off vacation. I remember after the program, I took a week off vacation. I don't remember where we went, but we went somewhere and we celebrated. And I had a lot of stuff to think because all my job offers were really good. I have Victoria Arbors, California Grill, Jackson's Steakhouse, and I was like, this is hard. Like, where do I go? Like where do I go? So I did took the promotion, and I decided that taking the promotion, I wanted at that point to stay on signature dining. So I went to Jackson's Steakhouse as a chef assistant.
Okay, wow.
And that was my last Disney location. That's where I closed
Oh,
that chapter.
Dotton Beach Club. That's a great area. I love
That's
it.
what I know. Beautiful area. I did learn a lot. I was not there for too long because then COVID happened. I was there for just a couple months. But yeah, I did learn a lot while I was there, met a lot of people, and that's my Disney history because I never went back after COVID. But I always look back and I love to share my story because I know that in the industry, the culinary industry, there's a lot of room of opportunity, but there's also a lot of people that don't feel confident to go for more, to be hungry for more.
Oh,
And as a woman, being able to accomplish all that and in a room full of men, it felt really good. It felt like if I did it, I'm pretty sure that there's thousands of girls in the industry just like me that will be able to even do more.
we need more people to hear your story. Have you shared your story a lot before?
A lot of people, yeah, a lot of people know me around Disney and outside Disney too, but I haven't talked about this in a couple of years, I think like 2 years. So
Okay, get to
it's
them like
really special. It's really special to share it
good. I
because I
want
know there's a lot of people out there that maybe this is the inspiration or motivation that they need. Um,
yes.
yeah,
I
I barely talked to people because I was not confident talking in English. My kitchen knowledge was the basic stuff that you learn from school. So I never felt like I walked into Disney and I knew how to actually, be a cook or be a chef. I learned it with the help of all these mentors of these restaurants, the time, the effort, the energy that I put into all those things. So if somebody is a cook too and is dreaming to be a chef, yeah, you can do it. Like no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, you're for Disney people and for aspiring chefs, like your story, like anyone can find themselves in this, and that's what it's about. So, if anyone listening, maybe they have a Disney culinary question, do you have like a LinkedIn or Instagram or some way people can reach out?
Yeah, they can reach out to me through Instagram, Veronica underscore VLC. Um, I'm on LinkedIn too, and I'm linking. I always have tried to keep my Disney stuff is there. So, if you have any question, you need any help, I'll be more than happy to help you. I'm happily married to a chef, so I get to live like the chef life because right now I'm home. My husband is working. He's working late tonight. So yeah, it's a beautiful industry. It takes a lot of mental, work. You need to be really strong. You need to believe in yourself. You need to push for more if you really want to go to the next level.
Awesome. And are you working at a different restaurant now?
I work from home now.
Okay.
Yeah. So with COVID, how COVID did hit the two of us. We both got furloughed at the same time. I think I was furloughed, and 2 days later, my husband was furloughed. It took them like a year to call me back to go to work, and I took the decision that I was gonna stay working from home. So during COVID, I started working from home. I was good. One of us needed to, work because we were basically both of us like struggling at that point trying to
Yeah.
see what was going to happen. We never knew how long we were going to be at home either. So when they called me, I decided to step down from the company, and then my husband went back. It was
Cool.
like we planned it to be that way, but I get the Disney magic through him.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and of course, the kitchen. We love to cook at home. We spend a lot of time in the kitchen. We challenge each other. We do like competitions, who do this better, who does. So it's fun. It's fun, and the passion is there. Like I love it. I love the company, and I have a lot of respect for a lot of the people that I have worked with, that have mentored me. and they have a special place in my heart.
Oh man, that was absolutely perfect. Thank you so much. I feel inspired. I feel like I just watched a motivational movie. I'm so excited for people to hear this, and I'll include your name and everything below in case anyone wants to reach out. And yeah, we'll stay in touch because it was so
Yeah,
nice.
of course. It was my pleasure to know you. Have a good night and let me know if you need anything.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye.